We're going to talk about a very important subject today. It is my distinct pleasure to introduce our own Miss Griffin today.
Thank you, sir. First and foremost, thank you to the kids, the staff members who assisted with the chairs so everybody had a place to sit. So thank you for that. The other piece is Happy Friday. Many of you know me as Ms. Griffin, as a licensed mental health counselor who's worked here more years now than I probably want to admit. But today, I'm here as the Executive Director of the Bourne Substance-Free Coalition. What that is, it's a volunteer-based coalition deeply committed to assisting individuals and families impacted by substance misuse and drug overdose. A lot of you know that I've dealt a lot over the years in my private practice and with kids who have been impacted. So this is near and dear to the people sitting at this table and myself. Our members of the Bourne Substance-Free Coalition include Bourne Fire, Bourne Police, Bourne Board of Health, Bourne Conservation, a Reverend Deacon, a mom who has lost her son to addiction, and parents who have fought the battle alongside their sons and daughters who struggle with substance misuse. We have concerned parents on our coalition, and we are also proud to say we have a member of a Protect School Committee on the coalition, as well as a member of Bourne High School Committee. So I want to stress the importance today with you that this is not just about you making positive choices. It's about every adult that you know has to make positive choices in their life to be successful. So our goal here today is to hopefully plant a seed in you to understand if you make positive choices, positive things will happen. So today, with the support of Superintendent Roger Forget and his administrative team, this event is funded by the Bourne Substance-Free Coalition grant from the Town of Bourne Opioid Settlement Fund. A thank you to Bourne Community TV for being here and filming this event, because you'll be able to view this at your home if you're interested or if your parents are interested as well. So this morning I have the pleasure of introducing Kevin Rosario. Kevin Rosario is the founder of ACES, which means Addiction Counseling and Education Services. Mr. Rosario is a certified recovery coach, a family coach, and an intervention specialist with years of experience in prevention, recovery, and education. He brings a very powerful message to you guys about the real-life consequences of substance use and the pressure you guys face today, and practical strategies for making positive decisions. So if you'd be so kind as to give Mr. Kevin Rosario a warm welcome, I sure appreciate it.
Thank you, Beth. Good morning, everyone. I'm excited to be here. I don't know about you guys. First of all, it's always awkward when someone reads your little resume or your bio. I'm not special, I'm not smart, I'm not that important. I have some degrees, I've done some things, I've worked in the field, but at the end of the day, I'm just a person in long-term recovery. That's all it is, man. And what that means to me is like I made a lot of wild decisions as a younger person, which ended really poorly for me, right? Like full-blown addiction, arrests, and heartache, and everything that comes with that. And gratefully, I'm one of the ones that made it out. Like not a lot of people didn't make it out, and I'm grateful to say that I've been in long-term recovery since July 2nd, 2010. I don't drink alcohol, I don't smoke weed. Thank you. And so like God willing, I'm coming up on 15 years of like long-term recovery, and that's like crazy for someone like me. And you'll hear a little bit of my story, but how this happened was I've just worked in the field for the last like 13 years, and like one day a school was like, hey, can you come talk to the health class? And I just told my like addiction war story, rah rah, and like some people like get it and a lot of people don't. Most people in high school can't identify with full-blown addiction and arrests and this and that, and I just felt like it wasn't landing. Right, so like as I progressed in my career and I got a little more educated, I've been fortunate to be around very smart clinical people and medical people and educators and health people and coaches and everybody that I could sponge off of while also being in school and chipping away. I got an associate's and a bachelor's, and I'm grateful to say last year I wrapped up an MBA. I got a master's in business administration, and so I've been able to learn some things. And like public speaking 101 is this: what's your message? So first of all, you got to figure out what are you talking about. So what do I want to talk about? I want to talk about, you know, the dangers of substance use, how to make better decisions. All right, who's your audience? Typically, I do 6th grade to 12th grade. I do some college, but really this is my sweet spot, the high school age. So who is your audience? And now I got to bring myself back to being like in high school. And I don't know about you guys, but like whenever they brought me into the assembly, I'm like, whatever, bro. This is stupid. This guy sucks. I'm judging the speaker. I'm laughing. I'm joking. Like I didn't really necessarily want to be here. And also, I did not like when adults or speakers or anybody in authority spoke down to me. I didn't like when people treated me like a little kid, right? Like when I was in high school, even though I was 14, 15, whatever, I thought I was like grown. I thought I deserved some level of respect. So I didn't like when people talked at me and talked down to me and disrespected me. Or I don't know if you can identify with this, like ever going to an adult with an issue or a concern and you feel like you're just dismissed. Like they just, your opinion, your thoughts aren't valid because you're young, and it's like, it's hurtful. And so my mission here is I'm going to do some PowerPoint stuff. I'm going to share some experience with you. I'll open it up to questions at the end. I get you involved a little bit and ask you some questions, but like my approach is this. I didn't like being talked down to. I didn't like being disrespected, so I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to treat you like little kids. I'm not going to try to scare you with the rah-rah story. I'm not trying to be cool. I'm not trying to be funny. I'm just going to treat you with respect. I hope you can treat me with the same respect so we can get through this, but like I'm going to give you some information and you can do whatever you want with it, right? And what my boss used to say is like they'd come in the business meeting or something, they'd like, bah, 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 they'd be complaining about something, but she would say, if it don't apply, let it fly. Meaning like, if you're doing your job and you're good, and then don't take it personal, like let it fly. So same thing here, like if I'm talking about stuff and you're just like, yeah, no way, not me, never be me, I'm a good student, I'm healthy, I don't do any of these things, that's great. However, 65% of all people know someone that's affected by addiction or alcoholism. So like even if this don't apply to you, maybe take this as an opportunity to pick up a couple gems that you can help someone else with, right? So I'm not coming here because you're bad. I'm not coming here to talk at a particular group because like, oh, you guys are all gonna like crash and burn and this and that. No, it's like, thank you again to the Bourne Coalition for having me here. Thank you for the school for allowing me to be here. But it's just about sharing information. And I think you guys are way more powerful than me. So like if you can get a couple tidbits out of this that you can help another teen, another young adult, you're way more powerful and impactful than me. You know, like I'm just old, I'm out of date, I'm not cool, I don't know what's going on, I don't know nothing. You know what I'm saying? And I know that, I'm aware of that. But what I do have is science. So like when my mom used to be like, don't drink alcohol, I'd be like, why? Because I said so. Yeah, all right, bro. Because I said so? That's the excuse? Meanwhile, we're out here like camping and they're drinking and living their best life and look like they're having fun, right? Playing music. It's kind of a confusing message. Don't do it because it's bad because I said so. But can you get me a beer from the cooler while I cook these burgers and let me have a great time this weekend? It's like, what? So that wasn't helpful. Don't do it. Why? Because you're gonna die. No, I'm not gonna die, bro. You're being kind of dramatic. You know what I'm saying? So like none of the things like landed on me. So what this PowerPoint's about is like remove the emotion and the fanatical like, extraness, and like here's some science. Here's some real science that I've researched, it's works cited, it's factual, you can look it up yourself. That's the deal. I'm just gonna give you some information. I'm not trying to yell at you. If I get loud, it's because I'm passionate, and like Beth said, and maybe this has affected you, like I've personally lost a lot of people, like a lot of death in my life, a lot of addiction, a lot of heavy stuff. So sometimes I get ramped up because I'm excited. I'm like so gassed to be here. If none of you get anything out of this, just know that you helped me just allowing me to speak to you, because it really does light me up. Because by the time someone's like 20, 30, 40 in full-blown addiction, it's really hard to bring them back. If you can get some young adults like yourselves that maybe kind of sliding left or right, it's a lot easier to get back on track before so much brain damage is done. I feel like this is where all the money should be spent. I feel like this is where all the time should be spent, with the young people. And it's not even necessarily about drugs. I get overbranded as the drug guy. It's not about drugs. Real prevention work is identifying young people that got anxiety, depression, trauma, low self-esteem. We got some, basically the overview and the cautionary story is just me, and I touched on that a little bit already. So my goal is like to share some information, ask you some questions, and at the end, I'm a complete open book. If you got a question for me, and maybe you don't want to ask it in front of the group, like I'll have my information on the last slide. So I know I'm old and out of touch, so I thought it would be funny to just kind of bring proof that I was a young person at one point. This is me in middle school. And I know this isn't everybody's story, but I already was smoking weed in middle school. So, the problem with that is when I was in middle school, it was just a big joke. It was just a little weed on the weekend. You couldn't convince me that it was a problem. And I'm not trying to scare you and convince you that it's a problem, but this is my experience. Is like I had problems before middle school. In elementary school, I already had issues. I was like a late bloomer. I was shorter than all my friends. I had conflict at home. My parents were like arguing a lot, and I had major insecurity. I was ADHD to the max. I was bouncing off the walls, and in 5th and 6th grade, like I was already getting in trouble. So by the time I went to middle school, I was kind of like this ball of anxiety. And I started to hang around with older kids because I wanted to feel protected because I got bullied in elementary school. And the next thing you know, one day I'm like walking to a high school football game, and someone just pulls out some weed, and they pass it to me, and like I wasn't looking for weed. I'd never seen weed before in my life. I just was trying to be accepted by that group, and the next thing you know, I smoked weed. Like I didn't think about it. I had no thoughts, no pause. I just did it because this older group of kids that I was trying to be down with were smoking weed. So that's how it started. In 7th grade, I started smoking weed. By the end of 7th grade, I was like selling joints for the older kids. And again, I don't think that's cool. That's funny because it didn't like really end well for me. But I was 13. I had no job. And the older people that were giving me the weed basically gave me like rolled up joints and were like, if you sell some of these, you can keep one. And then that's how it progressed. Next thing you know, in high school, like I'm smoking weed every day. I'm getting in trouble now. At 16 years old, I got arrested for the first time. I got arrested for smoking weed in the airport. And then I got arrested for shoplifting. Then it was another thing. I don't know, do you guys play New Bedford Vogue in sports at all? Is that one of like the people? No? Well, that's where I went. And I got kicked out of there my junior year. I think it's a funny story anyway. My junior year, I decided to run for class president at New Bedford Vogue just for fun, right? I'm a full-blown like weed head, known drug dealer, child delinquent. I've been arrested 3 or 4 times by now. But the person that was running for class president was from like a different town because like New Bedford Vogue, it's like Tri-County. There's a few different cities that go there. And I was like, I don't want this dude to be my president. So I decided to run for class president, and I won. The school was pissed. The school was very upset. And so that was like me in high school in a nutshell. It was like a big joke. Everything was a big joke. You couldn't tell me nothing. It's just weed. It's just weed. Well, my junior year, I ended up getting kicked out because I failed shop by like 3 points. I was in electrical construction and engineering. And we got action?
Got action.
Action, action, action. All right, Sean. We might... Give it up for Sean, everybody! he really like saved me, because even at 45 years old, I'm still a spaz. Like I can't sit still. I want to move around. I want to look at you. I want to make eye contact. I want to engage you. I don't want to be like stuck at the podium like some politician. I want to kind of work around. So I'm glad that worked out. But anyway, I'm going to fast forward through this because this doesn't matter as much as the science and the facts. But at the end of the day, 7th grade, scratch that, 17 years old. I'm a junior in high school. Everything's a big joke. I got a car. I got a job. I'm smoking weed every day. I'm selling weed. I'm drinking alcohol pretty like consistently on the weekend. And then next thing you know, it was like mushrooms and pills and this and that. And my experience with like the risk of early experimentation, I don't care if it's vaping or weed or alcohol or edibles, for me, everyone was like, don't do it, you're gonna die, it's bad, don't do it, you're gonna die, it's bad. And then one day I tried something and I kind of liked it. And so then I'm more likely to try other things, because if your only reason to not do it is because it's bad and I try it and I'm like, this isn't bad at all, I like this, then guess what? Now I'm at a bigger risk to try the next thing that you say is good. And that's kind of like what my story was. And again, this is dramatic, but this is just my story, and it won't be most of your stories. But I get kicked out of high school. I end up going to New Bedford High. I barely scrape by. I need summer school. And then the pill thing took off. And like next thing you know, by 22 years old, like I'm a full-blown heroin addict. I'm living at my mom's house. I'm strung out. Like I'm sitting at 6'1", 225 right now. I was like 167 pounds. I was all skin and bones. It wasn't fun anymore. The car was gone. The job was gone. I'm like a little snake stealing jewelry. I'm shoplifting. I went from like being the cool kid with the car and like the weed plug and like kind of a party guy to like a straight heroin addict. And it was like, how the hell did this happen? Because if you would have asked me at any point along the journey as I'm getting arrested and getting in trouble and getting kicked out of school, it was still just weed. It's just alcohol. I'll never do that. I'm not going to be a drug addict. I saw drug addicts. I grew up in New Bedford. I saw homeless people. I saw women work in the streets. I saw the guy with the brown bag. And like for me, 15, 16, 17, just smoking weed and drinking, like even though I'm getting in trouble, I'm like, oh, it's just bad luck. I'll never be that guy. Well, it happened, even though I didn't want it to. So again, what's more important, I think, is not like what happened to me, but identify like how it happened. Because if we can identify how it happened, then we can do better preventative work and get in front of people that may have some of these symptoms. So for me, it was like major insecurities. I changed schools a couple times. I got bullied. I had ADHD. The family was beefing at home. I was just like a young person that was like not okay. That's why I believe prevention work is not about don't do drugs, you're gonna die. Just like recovery is not about don't do drugs one day at a time. Recovery is about now that you don't do drugs, how do you learn the skills you never had as a teen? How do I learn to breathe and pause and process my feelings and have healthy communication? How do I find happiness, peace, and joy, balance? How do I process the trauma, the things that I've been through, right? That's what recovery is about. So again, if that's what recovery is about, it's very little to do with the substance. So like that's step one, you gotta get it out of your system. But recovery is about healing and finding happiness and peace and purpose. Then prevention is also not exclusively about don't do drugs. Prevention's about how do we find younger people that already have anxiety, depression, issues at home, insecurity, ADHD, other mental health issues. How do we find young people that are struggling, that are not using drugs and alcohol? And give them some love, and give them some support, and give them some skills, and give them some treatment if necessary, so that drugs and alcohol don't have to be a thing. I'm gonna do questions at the end. Give me a few. I'll get to you. So that's the lens I come from. Not to try to scare you, but to try to, one, give you some information, and two, encourage you. If you're a person that's kind of going through it, ask for help. Tell someone you're not alone. Now, when do you guys think of the word addiction? What do you think? I'll get you involved. What do you think addiction is? Anyone? Say.
Overly liking something, stuck to it.
He said overly liking something and getting stuck to it. Round of applause for that person right there. All right. So I'm going to be able to ask you questions, get crazy, pop off, clap, burn some energy, but then we got to bring it back down. And if we can do that, I'll keep getting you involved. What do you got?
It's when your body gets so dependent on something that it relies on it and
Oh, we got to dependency. When your body becomes so reliant on something, it becomes dependent and it needs it. The physical addiction. Round of applause for that person back there. So addiction, and it's one more question. What are some of the things people get addicted to? Is it only drugs that people get addicted to? What do you got? Gaming? Games, video games. Round of applause for that person right there. Anyone else? What do people get addicted to? Anyone else? Anyone else? Yeah, shit. Gambling. Round of applause for that person right there. Who else? Who else? Who else? What else you get addicted to? Anything? Yes. Food. Round of applause for that person right there. You, same thing? He took your thunder. All right. So, thank you guys for participating. You got great energy. So the point is this. You guys are doing a great job. The point is this. It's not just about drugs and alcohol. Addiction is a preoccupation or a mental obsession or an obsessive use of a thing or an activity that just kind of dominates your thinking, dominates your life. The key, though, is when an addiction becomes like unhealthy is despite negative consequences. So if you like jog every day, someone, oh, it's an addiction. You jog every day for an hour every morning. No, that could be a healthy habit. When it becomes interruptive for school, interruptive with your family, you're getting in trouble, maybe you're getting arrested, you're falling behind on your homework, maybe you dropped out of sports because you're just so obsessed with video games, cell phones, social media can be a big distraction. Obviously, vaping is a big problem. That's when you have a problem. Who knows what dopamine is? What's dopamine?
Dopamine's that stuff that makes you happy in your brain.
Dopamine's that stuff that makes you happy in your brain. Round of applause for that person right there. Does anyone know what the limbic system is? The limbic system, it's a part of the brain. I'll give you a cheat. It's also known as the reward center of the brain. Anyone? All right. Well, dopamine is specifically a chemical that's released from the limbic system, the center of the brain, a portion of the brain, and it's called the reward center of the brain. Why? Because dopamine makes you feel good, right? This is the trick with dopamine, and this is probably one of the most important points of this whole presentation is this slide, so if you can give me 4 minutes of your life, it might be worth it, right? So dopamine is a chemical in your brain that makes you feel good. You've heard of like fight or flight, right? You don't learn that in school. Call it God, call it science, evolution, call it whatever you want. Without your permission, most humans have this thing that says when danger approaches, they fight or they run. If you freeze, you probably die. Freezing is bad. Fight or run. I'm not promoting fighting. I'm just talking about cavemen dealing with woolly mammoths. You know what I'm saying? Archaic survival skills. Okay. We didn't ask for that. We didn't learn that. It's just there to help keep the species alive. So dopamine is a chemical that's supposed to reinforce behavior that we need to do to keep the species alive. You need to exercise. You need to eat to survive. You need to procreate to survive. Laughing also releases dopamine, right? There's these certain things that are actually good for us and certain things that like we actually need to do to survive as a species that the brain says when you do that, little splash of dopamine. It feels good. It makes you want to do it again. I think of dopamine as like a treat when you're trying to train a puppy, right? You got a puppy pees on the floor. Bad puppy, you yell, burr, burr, burr. The puppy knows. Puppy pees on the puppy. Oh, good puppy, you're such a good puppy, right? Give him a little treat. And they're wagging their tail. Real quick, the puppy learns, I don't like being yelled at. I like the treat. It's a reinforcement technique. You get it. So here's the clincher. Dopamine, when we feel dopamine in our body, our brains are wired to believe that this is a good thing that we want to repeat. Here's the bad news. Gambling, vaping, cigarettes, alcohol, all the drugs release dopamine. So really the big problem is dopamine. For example, if you eat an apple pie and you love apple pie, you get a little bit of dopamine. Let's just call that 10 units. If you smoke a vape, you get hit with 1,000 units of dopamine. So the little feel good, and please take this as I'm not promoting this. This is an awful idea that almost killed me, but I'm just trying to give you why it's dangerous. It's not, don't do it because you're gonna die, don't do it because I said so. It's because of dopamine. If you experiment with vaping, marijuana, alcohol, cigarettes, Zins, edibles, any of those things, what your brain is gonna experience is a large burst of dopamine, and your brain is automatically gonna be like, ooh, that felt good. Let's do that again, right? And the bad news is it's not sustainable for the long term. So my friend back there said something about becoming physically dependent. Does anybody know what the word tolerance means? What does it mean? What is tolerance? What does it mean to build tolerance? Anyone? Yes?
Tolerance refers to how your body responds. So basically, you take, just saying, like a short dosage of a drug.
Yeah.
When you take it the first time, your body reacts strongly. But if you take that same dosage like 3 months later after taking it over a long period of time, your body will react weaker. Like time.
Round of applause. It was too much to repeat. Yes, right there. I'll give you the snapshot. Basically, it was correct. It was just a lot, and I don't want to mess it up. Basically, building a tolerance means something starts to lose effectiveness over a period of time because your body builds a tolerance. Example, in 7th grade, I just stopped smoking a little weed, no big deal. I get high out of my mind off a couple hits. As time goes on, I need to smoke a whole joint. As time goes on, I need 2 joints in one day. As time goes on, I need stronger weed. I'm never trying to get higher. I'm just trying to feel okay. I'm just trying to take the edge off. I'm just trying to combat my anxiety and my ADHD and my family issues and my insecurity. I just want to be okay. But because my body knows all this extra dopamine doesn't belong here, it starts to fight it off. It starts to build resistance. It starts to build a tolerance. So if I had to say what the most dangerous factor is with young people vaping, drinking, and smoking weed or whatever, the most dangerous factor is this. What are you going to do when it stops working? That's the real problem. I never wanted to be a drug addict. I always just wanted to feel okay. But over time, it was weed, alcohol, pills. I just kept progressing. Not because I wanted to be more of a mess, but because the things I started off with no longer worked. And so if we don't learn how to deal with anxiety, depression, fear, insecurity, if we don't find a way to feel good naturally and organically, and we fall into the trap of medicines, legal, illegal, prescribed, or otherwise, and we're just seeking chemical relief without also doing therapy and holistic things, what you're going to find is over time those things lose their effectiveness. And you're going to find yourself maybe, or you might know someone, right? This isn't coming at you, but maybe you've seen this in someone else. At some point, you're on all the meds and all the drugs and taking as much as you possibly can. And what I found for me is like end-stage, full-blown heroin addiction. I still got anxiety. I hate myself. I'm depressed. I can't sleep. And all that pain that I've been suppressing for the last 20 years is right there on top. And the drugs don't work anymore. And I got to this place where I just wanted to like die. You know, I didn't have the courage to kill myself, but I no longer wanted to live. And right here it says this second bullet, overstimulation. Especially when you're young, like laughing, eating, exercising, playing with friends, playing sports, going fishing, jogging, motorcycle, dirt bikes, whatever you're into, like all those things provide a certain amount of release, right? Dopamine, adrenaline, oxytocin, like these chemicals that make us feel good. But if you flood your body with outside dopamine, what happens is you become so overstimulated by that dopamine that all those other things just don't hit anymore. And then you find yourself withdrawing from fishing, family, friends, sports. Why? Because you need that big burst of dopamine, and those things don't do it. Prefrontal cortex, last part of the brain. I appreciate you guys hanging in there. That was definitely longer than 4 minutes. And I know sometimes the science is boring. People want to hear about New Bedford guns and drugs, and I got stabbed and rah-rah. I'll give you some of that in a second if it'll bring you back to life. But here's some science. Again, maybe it's not for you, but if you got a sister, brother, cousin that you want to have an adult conversation with and you can't reach them, the prefrontal cortex is the front of the brain. The prefrontal cortex is not developed until your mid-20s. That part of the brain is responsible for decision making, impulse control, risk assessment and evaluation. Very important part of the brain that adults take for granted. Helps you pause. See, I don't want to do that, right? I'm old now. I tore my ACL playing basketball. Now I look at ladders. I'm like, maybe not. As a young person, I climbed a ladder, hooked up a pulley line from one tree to the other tree. I put the cursor on my belt buckle, right? And I'm doing like all kind of crazy stuff. No bad ideas as a teen. No fear of dying. Didn't even know what an ACL was at 17, right? It's not because young people are dumb or reckless. It's because literally the front part of the brain, which says pause, that's a bad idea. You know, this could cause you harm. It's not fully developed. So more bad news is this. Vaping, alcohol, marijuana, stop, scratch that. Dramatically slow the development of that part of the brain. So guess what happens? You're more likely to have impulse control issues. You're more likely to make bad decisions. You're more likely to not be able to just pause. And that's exactly what happened to me. I always go back and forth with my story and the science. And now it makes more sense. I'm 13, 14, 15. I'm smoking weed. I'm drinking. I got a way underdeveloped prefrontal cortex. Now I introduce all this dopamine to my brain. It slows down that part of the brain. And guess what I do? I just keep making bad decisions. As a result as a young person with a compromised prefrontal cortex, I've been arrested 12 times. I got 3 DUIs. I've been shot at. I've been jumped. I've been stabbed in the back, literally punctured lung, hospitalized. I turned 25 in the Dartmouth House of Correction, right? I'm not saying this to brag. This is all dumb stuff. This isn't cool. But I had no ability to make good decisions because I introduced chemicals to my brain at such a young age. I just kept putting myself in bad situations, hanging around with older people, at clubs, drunk driving. I've been in drunk driving car accidents. I'm lucky to be alive. Forget the heroin. The life that I lived was so reckless, I'm lucky to be alive. I don't know why that made me emotional a little bit. Excuse me. And that was passion. I'm not yelling at you, so I'm sorry if that triggers anyone when I get loud like that. But when I think of that, I think of this dude, Sean, who was the first person I ever smoked weed with, who died in a car accident, a drug-related car accident. I think of my boy Nick, who's the first person I ever drank with, who died of an overdose. I think of this other dude, Sibir, who was an older guy, and I know this isn't good, but as a young person growing up in the street, this older guy was looking out for me, and he was the first person to put a gun in my hand, right? And this dude died handcuffed to a hospital bed in Nashua Street Jail in Boston, awaiting felony charges. This was my role model, right? I think of this other kid who was one of the first dudes I did Xanax and benzos with, dead of an overdose. Right, all the cool kids that I grew up with, the people that I looked up to, the people that were doing all the same things that I was doing, most of them are not here anymore. And I'm here. Why? I'm not special. I'm not smart. I don't deserve it. I was a jerk. I was a liar. I was a thief. I was mean to people. But for some reason or another, I've been spared, I've been saved, and I believe I've been given a purpose, and that's why I'm here. So if I get loud, it's just because I'm passionate. Because if I can take one Kevin Rosario in here and make you think just a little bit and slow you down and make you take a left, totally worth it. I could retire, it's my life's work. If one less mom has to cry and bury a loved one, you know what I'm saying? I can't tell you how many funerals I've been to. It gets to the point where I go to funerals and I don't even cry anymore. I'm crying now thinking about it. I don't know why. I'm getting emotional, but I go to a funeral and I'm oh, Frank died of a heroin overdose. Of course he did. He does heroin. That's crazy. It's crazy when you're around so much death that it's not even surprising anymore. And so why am I here? I don't know. There's got to be a reason. I'm open to feedback at the end. please shoot me an email or a text at the end if there's something in this that was like not useful or something that should be added. If you got any negative or positive feedback, I got thick skin, like let me know. Because I'm going to keep doing this in high schools, and I don't want to talk and yell and be talking about nonsense. I want to have an impact. You guys know what's more important than I do. And I keep changing my PowerPoint every year because the students say, hey, you missed this, or hey, add that, or hey, you went too long on that. So like, no, I genuinely value your input. So at the end, like take a picture of my information. All right, we're going to keep going. I already touched on this. Who's most at risk? You know, spoiler alert, you know, anyone under 21's at risk. If you are already diagnosed with any kind of mental health issue, you're more at risk. If addiction runs in your family, you're more at risk. If you've experienced any kind of trauma, you're more at risk. It just compounds. If you're a perfectly healthy person from a perfectly healthy family and you use drugs, you can still get addicted. It's just the nature of drugs. But if you have these other factors, you may find yourself getting addicted a lot more easily. Does anyone know what genetic predisposition means? Anyone know? Genetic predisposition, to be predisposed genetically to a thing. Anybody? Context clues? Go ahead. Yes. Biologically more susceptible or less susceptible to things because of the genes passed on from our parents, right? Round of applause for that person right there. That is correct. So, genetic predisposition, this is science. Genetic predisposition says when you go to a doctor, they do a genogram. They ask you your family history. Does anyone in your family ever have heart disease, hypertension, diabetes, asthma, certain allergies, heart disease, whatever, right? They ask you these things not because if it runs in your family, you're automatically going to get it, but the fact is, if it runs in your family, you're just more at risk. So if we know cancer runs in your family, like it runs in mine heavy, like we're going to watch for cancer a little more in me than you if no cancer runs in your family. That's genetic predisposition. It's just science. Just like how the color of your eyes gets passed down and your features and your hair, those are all genetics. Well, if in your family history there's severe mental health and or addiction and alcoholism, like you're just at an increased risk. Oh, that would have been helpful. My mother's a sweetheart. She graduated New Bedford High School with honors. She never got a parking ticket in her life. She retired as like the head payroll clerk for the New Bedford Fire Department. She's like, Leave It to Beaver, Lifetime Movie Network, Christmas all year round mom. Like legit. Shout out to Mom Linda Rosario. Give it up for Linda Rosario, everybody. I tortured the poor lady. It's on TV. We love you, Mom. But again, my poor mother trying to help me as a lunatic teenager, she didn't know what to do with me. And she'd be like, don't do it because I said so. Don't do it because of this. Her father, my grandfather, died before I was born. That's all I knew. My father's father died when I was like 3 or 4. No emotional attachment to the guy, I didn't really know him. Well, come to find out, my mother's father was an alcoholic. And his death had something to do with his alcoholism. My father's father died of like cirrhosis of the liver, direct result of alcoholism. Well, that's helpful information. Would I have still done what I'd done as a teenager? I don't know. But when I'm like asking questions why, looking for like legitimate reasons, a good answer would have been, listen, Kevin, alcoholism runs heavy on both sides of your family. And if you start drinking as a teen, there's a good chance you could completely spin out because it runs in our family. I might have paused. I might have thought about it. I don't know. But I pose this to you. If alcoholism or drug addiction runs in your family, you got to keep that in mind. If it's not today, maybe it's tomorrow. If it's not high school, maybe it's college. Maybe you leave here with a great career because you're vocational people. Sooner or later, someone's going to present you with weed or alcohol or something if they haven't already. And like you have to evaluate yourself. You got to know who you are. Does this run in my family? Do I already have anxiety? Am I already predisposed? Because if you are, you may find yourself like me, like, boom. Like it was just fun, not fun anymore. Like overnight. It was like dramatic how it happened. It just completely spun out on me. So I won't go into this too much because people get triggered, but Beth, the one that introduced me, she's a mental health counselor. If anything I say triggers anyone, talk to a trusted adult. Don't sit with this, right? Like, talk to somebody because most of us experience some form of trauma, but nobody wants to talk about it. And trauma isn't always like the heavy thing like physical or sexual abuse, like that's obvious. But like some of the smaller traumas are like, if you've moved more than twice before you finish high school, that can be considered an adverse childhood experience. Starting all over again, going to a new community, meeting new friends, losing old friends, maybe starting, in a new sports team or whatever. If you have an alcoholic in your family, 1, 2, even if they're like not physically abusive, having an alcoholic in your family is an adverse childhood experience. If you grew up in a separated home, adverse childhood experience. If one of your loved ones was incarcerated, adverse childhood experience, right? And again, I'm not trying to trigger you, but like, might as well do it here in this safe place where there's help, because that pain from trauma creates this brokenheartedness, and the brokenheartedness, unless you find a way to heal from that and deal with that, sooner or later, God forbid, if you try a substance or some other unhealthy coping mechanism that provides temporary relief, that's when you're off and running. Right? So people that have more pain are more susceptible to become addicted to drugs and alcohol, because you just want that hurt to go away. And the hurt sucks, but you're not alone. If you or someone you love has been through some stuff, please get professional help. There's ways to process that and deal with that. So just more statistics. I mean, I just looked this stuff up just so people know if they like, I'll send you this PowerPoint if you want it, you can have it. I can give you the websites that I got this stuff from. But basically the science just says the younger you start, the more likely you are to become addicted. And I'm gonna give a shout out to Dr. Schran since I'm being recorded, but he was one of the guys early on in my career that had an influence on me. He's an adolescent psychiatrist. He used to work for High Point and Brockton at the Castle program, which was an adolescent program. He's now like the chief medical director at, I think, Riverside out in the Worcester area, but he used to do presentations to high schools, and what he said was, and Dr. Schramm, forgive me because these are not the numbers he said, because I can't remember the numbers he said, but you'll get the point. He basically said, if you can wait until you're 16 before you try your first substance, vaping, alcohol, marijuana, cigarettes, cigars, etc., you're like 22% less likely to become addicted. If you can wait until you're 18, it goes to like 31. If you wait till you're 21, it goes to like 46. If you actually wait until you're 25 and give your brain a full chance to develop, it goes down to like 62% less likely to become addicted. That's interesting, right? So it's like, I want to come in here and be like real with you. I'm not an anti-alcohol guy. I'm not an anti-marijuana guy. I'm a like, consider not doing it now guy. If you finish high school and you go start a business and you call me at 25, you got a master's degree, you own a home, you're killing it at life, like I'll buy you a glass of wine or champagne to celebrate your accomplishments. Your adult brain can handle it at that point. So just to try to drill home the message is like, I'm not saying that everyone that drinks a beer or smokes a joint are bad people or addicted and like their life's unmanageable, because that's not the truth. What I'm just saying is, could you possibly consider prolonging first-time use to reduce your risk of it being a real problem, giving your brain a full chance to develop? That being said, I'm completely abstinent. I have a dope life. I don't miss alcohol or weed at all. I travel, I laugh, I dance. Like, I don't feel like I'm missing anything. In fact, I think it's becoming more trendy to be healthy and kind of like earthy, crunchy, spiritual, like volunteerism. Like, that's good. Like, those things are kind of trending in the right direction, whereas like back in the day, it was all about getting drunk and high and being like ignorant, I guess. So anyway, keep going. I thought that one interesting statistic is people don't typically get their first drug from a drug dealer. Get it from a friend, from a family member's medicine cabinet. You'll see, I know my Bourne Coalition peeps will be making all kind of noise come RX Take-Back Day, right? There's a national RX Take-Back Day when we encourage families and adults to go into your cabinets, and if there's any medicine in there that you don't use, please throw it away. Because what we're finding is teens are going into medicine cabinets and taking medications, and they don't even know what they are, and it can cause problems and cause overdose. So most people are getting their first drug from a friend, a doctor, or a family member's medicine cabinet. And then another interesting statistic is, you see people addicted to heroin and you're like, oh, of course, heroin's bad. But like is there a percentage there, something? 93% of people addicted to heroin and fentanyl report they didn't start with heroin and fentanyl, right? It's never the plan for a 17-year-old who's just vaping all day to progress to perk 30s. It's never the plan. But it happens. very rarely does someone like randomly at 22 years old just try heroin. So the only way to guarantee you never become addicted is to never start experimenting. And another statistic that I thought was interesting, because I'm like a New Bedford kid, I grew up kind of in the hood and hanging around the projects and stuff. So it's easy to see how there's that problem in the New Bedford, Brockton, Springfield, Fall River, Lawrence, like those types of places. But the truth is, over 1 million now, in the last, I don't know if the number is 12 or 15 years, but we just reached an awful milestone. 1 million documented overdose deaths in the United States. 1 million. And of that large demographic of people, the biggest category of people that have died is the 20 to 34-year-old white male from a middle-class family. It's good people from good families, from nice communities, that don't even have some crazy horror story. They just started to experiment, they played around, they made some bad decisions, and boom, we lost them. And even more so now, because for whatever reason, even though fentanyl kills people, they're putting fentanyl in everything. They're putting it in weed, they're putting it in alcohol. Like OG cocaine users that just sniff a little coke on the weekend, they're overdosing now because they can't even get clean coke without fentanyl in it. They're putting it in vapes. People are buying like vapes on TikTok and Snapchat and everything else, and they got fentanyl in it. It's crazy. So it's just like, it's a dangerous time to be out there experimenting. All right, marijuana. I'm just watching time because I want to make sure I leave you guys time for questions. So I put marijuana in here because, especially a few years ago, and I know Bourne especially made a lot of noise about it, but they were like legalizing marijuana and opening up marijuana shops. I was working for a treatment center in Falmouth for like 10 years. I was very involved in advocacy and education and all that stuff. And like, because marijuana is now legal, what we find is the perception of people, especially young people, the perception of its risk has been lowered. It can't be that bad if it's legal, right? And again, I'm not an anti-marijuana guy. If you're a 40-year-old, you smoke weed, go fishing, live your best life. I could care less, bro. You know what I'm saying? But the truth is this, because marijuana is everywhere now, younger people think, it can't be that bad. Because Uncle Billy, who used to be like a low-key weed smoker, now is smoking on the John Deere, cutting the grass, right? It's become more in our face. It just makes us think it can't be that dangerous because it's legal. Well, this marijuana that's out now is very strong. I'm old, right? I smoked that old Arizona brick weed via Mexico. It came like a phone book. You had to peel it apart, shake the seeds out, hit it with a little Sprite, put some lettuce on it to bring it back to life because it was so dry. Like, this is a real thing. It was bad. It wasn't good. It was like, 4% THC. And again, if there's any people out there quoting me, I'm just using numbers for visual aids. I don't know the exact statistics, just to throw that out there. But to give you the perspective change, like some of this marijuana made in the labs that's like high level, clean, beautiful, strong medical marijuana, like this is coming out 11%, 12%, 17%. You guys good? 17% THC, which is 3-4 times stronger than what I smoked. And then when you get into the edibles, it's more compounded. Then if you get into the resins, I don't know if you've heard of resins or dabs. Resins or dabs is like they extract the THC right out of the plant. That's up to 93% THC. And so, why does that matter? Because THC is causing schizophrenia in young people. And if you don't know what schizophrenia is, it basically means you see things and hear things that are not there. And it doesn't even mean it ran in your family. It could be like a way recessed 4 generations ago gene, but the THC is so strong, it's actually causing breakdowns. Like young people are in the hospital having complete mental breakdowns, and we're testing them, and it's just marijuana. So I only say that as like a cautionary, like, hey, just be aware, like if you're out there in the world, this weed is much stronger than it ever was, and you gotta be careful. Some people just have a single episode where they're like hallucinating. Some people can have longer lasting schizoaffective disorder, which means it comes and goes. It's reoccurring for the rest of your life. You could have these mental breakdowns where you see and hear things that are not there. Again, the argument is like, oh, it's legal, it must not be that bad. Okay, let me give you exhibit B, alcohol. Alcohol been legal forever. Alcohol kills more people every year than any other drug. Alcohol's a drug. Alcohol-related accidents, illnesses, and diseases kill more people every year than fentanyl. And so this whole argument like, oh, if it's legal, it can't be bad. Based on what? Right? Just because something's legal doesn't mean that it's great. There are drugs out there and clinical practices that are not approved, that are not legal, that are tremendously effective. And sometimes legal or illegal is dependent on profitable or not profitable. And then you got these bad boys. Anybody do these? Anybody? Who vapes? Raise your hand. Almost got you with a Simon Says real quick. I got someone at the last school. The guy was like, I was like, oh, thanks, bro. Appreciate you. 1% honest. We only got like 10 more minutes. Let me take a sip while you guys are processing your life. All right, so here's the thing. Here's the thing with vaping, right? I'm not going to make a big deal about it because I guarantee 25% of the people in this room vape. And the people that vape are going to be like, shut up, bro, not me, it'll never happen, that's ridiculous, you're being dramatic. Because your prefrontal cortex, which processes risk evaluation, is not fully developed yet. It's scientifically improbable for me to convince you that this is dangerous. So I'm not going to do that. Do whatever you want, live your best life. I'm going to give you some facts. This was not designed to go after like the cranberry farmer trying to kick Pall Mall Reds. The Pall Mall Red farmer never in his life got a blue raz, blackberry, cotton, how do you do, pink lemonade, unless you're ghetto and you're getting the clears from the gas station. Those ain't for him. This dude smokes black leaves. He don't smoke blue raz. These things came out because this country actually did a great job of saying, oh yeah, cigarettes are killing people. They made it illegal to advertise cigarettes on TV. Well, you messing with the biggest cartels now. You're messing with big tobacco. And so what happens in this multi-billion-dollar industry that sees profit share, losses in revenue, cigarettes are not that cool anymore. People are not smoking them. So great job, America, for making that a thing. But you can't hold a hustler down. So how do we diversify our portfolio? How do we create new products to regain market share, to get new long-term end users? Let's make it pretty. Let's make it pink. Let's make it fruity. Let's put Scooby-Doo and flowers on it, right? So it was a strategic plan to come after young people. And I don't know about you guys, I don't like that. I don't like getting played and tricked. So just know, like, they methodically came after us, the younger people, not me. I'm not young anymore. So here's some facts. Causes lung irritation, causes ability to not stay focused. It actually causes dry mouth and dry skin. And I don't know if you know this, because a few years back, everybody was smoking those big tanks with big clouds, and you had to change the coils and everything. Well, now they're like this big. Well, how do they make it this big? We'll still pack a punch. Oh, they added salt to it. Google it. Salt Nick is what's in the vape. Salt Nick. Well, what's that about? To have this little guy with this little baby battery be able to give you that how do you do you're looking for? We're going to put salt in the chemical solution. The salt goes into your lungs, opens up the blood vessels so the nicotine can travel faster. I was like, wow, that's dirty. That's dirty. It's kind of smart. It's pretty dirty, right? And so that's what you're dealing with. So young people, eyes, lips, skin dried out, fingers feel swollen. Why? Because you're smoking salt all day and it's literally dehydrating you. Salt kills water. We're 80-something% water, right? I was like, wow, that's interesting, right? But forget all the physical things. I want you to remember this if you don't remember anything else. I believe the biggest danger with vaping is, right now if you vape, it gives you a little hit. It gives you a little zing. It gives you a certain amount of dopamine. The problem is, 2 years from now, it's not going to hit that way. And then what are you going to do? That's my biggest fear with vaping. It'll be less dramatic and loud and extra. I don't think everybody that vapes is going to shoot fentanyl and die. But the truth is this. If you use vapes or anything else like that, it's probably going to stop working. And if you don't find another way to find relief and find another coping skill, like you're left with two things. Someday just stopping and dealing with all those feelings, or finding the next thing that provides relief. And that's when it gets dangerous, because now you might try and go into the weed or the alcohol, whatever. And then more bad news. 2-3 years from then, that doesn't really hit anymore. Then what do? Like, that's the real danger, right? So just something to consider. Also becoming more popular are the smokeless tobaccos, the Zins, the pouches. Not trying to attack the athletes. I know a lot of athletes do like the dip and all the stuff. But the truth is, because the schools have become so hip, they're putting the smoke alarms in the schools now, so the kids are getting caught vaping. They're like, all right, no problem. We're smart, right? If you're trying to get that dopamine, we're going to find a way. Addicts are crafty. Uh-oh. Bad news is this. If you vape, and you have this obsession about vaping, and like you literally just saw that little thing and you like went for your pocket, like you can't wait to get out of here to hit that vape, and like you're leaving class early and you're just obsessing about the vape, you just can't wait to hit the vape. When you sleep, the vape's next to you, you wake up, the vape's under your pillow, like that thing has got you. You have an addicted brain. Like you're already a drug addict. You're a nicotine addict, and nicotine's a drug, and I'm not saying that to be mean or stigmatizing. I want it to hit. I want you to think about it, because if you can identify with this mental obsession, preoccupation, getting in trouble in school just for a vape, just to hit the strawberry raz, bro, at 17, you're going to risk it all? All right. Just keep an eye on that. I'll be here for you when you're ready. So these things are smokeless, and it's the same thing. Big, large bursts of dopamine, dizziness, headaches, blood clotting, blood pressure, all the stuff. Oh, we got somebody! We got somebody! Hey, you can thank... You guys can thank Southeastern Regional Vocational Technical High School for this gem, because one of the students were like, hey, that was a great talk. Look at them, they're going bananas right now. So we hit the hot spot. It's not vaping, they're caffeine addicts. Got it. So I did this whole talk, right, and another voc, and the student came up to me and he was like, yeah, it was all right, it was a good talk. You're a little loud sometimes, but you didn't even have caffeine. I'm like, oh, I didn't really think about that. What, should I have caffeine? She's like, yeah. People are like leaving school to go get Dunkin' and Starbucks. They're coming to school like packed with Celsius and Monsters, like it's a thing. And I was like, okay, thank you so much, because I didn't even think of it, right? Bang, new slide, caffeine, let's go. No, what's crazy, and I didn't even know this. That's why I appreciate you guys. Like, seriously, I don't think I'm all that. I change this all the time. I want to be relevant, and I want updated info. So, like, please, I strongly encourage you to hit me up after. My Instagram is Fourth Dimension of Existence. I got Aces Education on Instagram. I'm on TikTok. I'm on YouTube. All this, you don't have to follow me and like me. I'm not trying to get followers. Like, if you can find me and give me info, I appreciate it. Because I didn't even know this. I swear to God. Caffeine causes insomnia, nervousness, restlessness, that's obvious. Nausea, increased heart rate, obvious. Other side effects, larger doses may cause headache, anxiety. Do you know people have caffeine withdrawal? If you're a big caffeine head, you ever know like 10, 11 o'clock in the morning, you're like, man, I got a banging headache. You don't know why. Then you smash them with caffeine and it goes away. Caffeine addiction. Anxiety, chest pain. This one's the one that's crazy. Caffeine is likely unsafe when used in very high doses. It can cause irregular heartbeat and even death. Bro, seriously, like, Google it. I thought that was crazy. I'm sure it's like not super likely, but if you drink enough caffeine, you could like legit have a heart attack or something. That's wild. Like, I think we totally dismiss. All right, bring it back. I'm almost done. 5 minutes. Thank you so much. But seriously, right? I know it's a joke, and I know you can't imagine it'll ever be a problem, and you can't ever see the correlation between like caffeine and vaping and like full-blown addiction, but neither could I. You know, neither could I. So just keep it in mind. So, we're going to go into the good stuff now. To me, these are the takeaways, the role of self-esteem. I've been to thousands of meetings in the last 14 years. And this is how the meeting usually starts. Like at a table, like maybe at a podium. My name's Kevin, and I'm an alcoholic, and I remember when I was like 14, 15, I felt like I didn't feel comfortable in my own skin. I started out the presentation that way. Anxiety, low self-esteem, ADHD, racing brain, problems at home. Like literally that's one of the most common stories you hear which led to someone being in addiction. So what we've learned, again, and this I'm just realizing this like G drive is not perfectly translating my slide because this is supposed to be over here. Maybe work that out for the next presentation. But people with positive self-esteem versus low self-esteem. People with positive self-esteem are less likely to be influenced by others. I don't care if you like me. I'm not trying to impress you. I'm not gonna like sell out and do weird stuff just to like fit in. That's me. I had low self-esteem. I wanted people to like me. I was a crash dummy. I just did whatever other people were doing so they would like me. People with positive self-esteem don't have to do that. So again, a good part of prevention was like, how do we lift people up? How do we help people build their self-esteem? Well, first of all, let's cut out the negative. Let's get away from the toxic people. Social media, believe it or not, is like super toxic for some, not for all. But there's a study that says there's a correlation between an increase in depression and anxiety with the more you are on social media. And so I started looking into that. I'm like, well, what's that all about? Well, first of all, social media is just this fake world, right? You got this fake wannabe IG model with her big fake eyelashes, with her big fake Brazilian add-on package. She still uses a filter, right? Still using a filter on the best day of her life. Hey, the guys ain't safe. Guys are out here all blown out on testosterone and steroids, right? They going to Turkey and getting their hair plugs. They're renting cars in Miami, taking a picture about how they're millionaires and making money and they're jacked and roided out. And bro, it's not real life. Most people don't look like that. Like I'm a solid 6. On a good day, I'm like a solid 6. You know what I'm saying? I go on social media, I see all these fake girls with their filters, these fake guys. Hey, check this one out. This is another one I learned. Dudes are getting calf implants. Calf implants. Like, bro, go to the gym. Eat some protein. This is the world we live in. Fakeness. So why am I saying this? I'm saying this because, hold on guys, bring it back. Almost done. You guys have been awesome, seriously. Almost done. But why this is important is, if you're just scrolling on social media all day with these fake scammers and these fake models and these fake dudes with their get-rich schemes all blown out on steroids, and you're just like a regular person, you're gonna feel like you're not that pretty, you're not that handsome, you don't make enough money. Like you compare yourselves to not even real humans. I used to have a hard enough time in high school comparing myself to the people in my school. Now we got social media just telling me all day I'm fat and I'm bald and I don't make enough money and all these things. So what I had to do was do a straight social media detox. I went on to my IG and my TikTok and I had to unfollow all these girls and all these dudes with the race cars and all the political extreme lefts and extreme rights. I had to purposefully go and look for spiritual people, healthy people, education. They got these like micro learning things, like you can learn how to balance a checkbook, you can learn how to increase your credit, you can learn how to set up an LLC, like little things that add value to my life. I had to put those on I had to do it purposefully. So if you're interested, you literally have to purposefully go, and every time something hits your feed that's nonsense, hit it and block it. And then deliberately go follow other things that you think might benefit your life. Also, hang around with positive people. If you're hanging around with toxic people, they're literally just going to be negative all day. I don't know if you guys know about consciousness, levels of consciousness. You've probably heard about people talking about energy and vibration and frequency. It's a real scientific thing. If you're a negative, life sucks guy, if you're one of those guys, and you come into my field, your cortisols and your negative energy come into my energy field, and you can actually bring me down. So negative, toxic people can physically, emotionally bring you down. Great news is the opposite is enlightened, happy, educated, spiritual, positive people can lift you up. You having a bad day, you ever been around that person that just always lifts you up? That person is money. That person is gold. You need those people in your life. Like, find those people. Make little goals for yourself. Not huge goals, little goals. Because I used to get overwhelmed by going to school. Like, let me make a little goal, accomplish it, bang. And then also, I don't know if you guys have ever done this, but volunteering. Volunteering was such a huge part of my recovery. Like, I don't care what I'm going through. Like, life ain't perfect, right? Like, I've been through it. I got 2 beautiful kids. It didn't work out with their mom. She got the house, child support, wah, wah, wah. My grandmother died. My uncle died. My aunt's right now on hospice with cancer. It's awful. It's heartbreaking. Like, life can be heavy. But when I'm going through it and things are not perfect, what I do is to get outside of myself, I go try to help someone. I go try to find someone that needs a little more love than me. I go into a community and take on a little project. And when I do that, I forget about my problems for just a little bit, and it builds my self-esteem, and I feel good that, like, I'm trying to help other people. Strongly suggest it. There's power behind it. Last 2 slides and I'm done. If you haven't been approached yet, you will be. And the best thing you can do is be prepared. When I was younger and someone presented, I had no skills. I had no preparation. Like, you got to have a plan. I know it sounds corny, but like, if you want to avoid using drugs or something, like, have a way out, whatever it is. If you're comfortable, you can be like, someone's like, yo, you want to smoke this weed? You want this edible? It's like, nah, I'm good. Like, it runs in my family. I'm not willing to take that risk. Someone goes to hand you a vape, whatever, nah, I'm good. Like, I tried it before, it made me sick. Someone goes to hand you something, nah, I'm good. Like, I play sports, and I'm not trying to put that in my system. I play an instrument. Like, literally, it sounds corny, but if you practice it a couple times with your friends, or even if the teacher's take it on and you practice it, it's more likely a muscle memory. Like, when someone approaches you, you're just locked and loaded. Like, yeah, nah, I'm good. I'm good, right? You can also be the positive influence. Hey, you want to smoke this weed? Nah, I don't, but like, you want to go fishing? You want to go for a walk? I cannot hold this thing. On my hands, it's the Portuguese in me. I'm like, man, like doing an orchestra.
I can relate.
You can?
Yep.
All right, we're almost done. Last thing is this. Use me as an excuse. If you're socially awkward and you don't like confrontation like I didn't like, what you can do is literally leave here and go tell your parents, your caregivers, like, buy drug tests. Buy breathalyzers on Amazon. And the next time someone comes up to you, you can be like, yo, I would, but my mom, cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, all right? She watched the Bourne TV cable access thing about Kevin Rosario. Now she thinks I'm gonna shoot heroin and die. She got drug tests all over the house. She got breathalyzers all over the house. Like, I can't do that. If I go home with like even a little bloodshot eye in the peak of allergy season, she's testing me. And if I get caught, the Wi-Fi password is gone. The cell phone is gone. The car is gone. The PS, the Xbox, whatever you hold dear, use that as an excuse. And like, another young person will be like, oh man, that sucks. Your mom sucks. And we don't like that dude Kevin Rosario either. How about that? They'll have your back. They'll understand that. Like, if you have a hyperprotective family that got drug tests and breathalyzers in your house, that's a solid excuse not to experiment. And sometimes you just need that out. You just need a way to get out of that first awkward interaction. And then you start to build some confidence, and next time it's just like, no, I'm good, no. I don't have to have an excuse. I don't have nothing to prove to you. The answer is no, I'm good. So if you need help, talk to an adult, get an assessment, get support if you need it. Please, please, please. It's the most powerful, courageous thing you can do. And I always like to leave with one positive thing. This is me and my 2 beautiful daughters. They're 4 and 5 years old. I call them my queens. That was last year at my master's degree. I wrapped up a master's at Fitchburg State University. And if nothing else, if you get nothing else out of this presentation, you know an ex-criminal, an ex-convict, a heroin addict, a drug addict, an alcoholic, that with a little help and a little support came back. So if you know someone that's struggling, you know someone that's hurting, just know that recovery is very possible, it's very real, and it's actually pretty awesome. Questions, comments? Yes? Hey guys, respect.
I think something that should be brought to attention is edibles, because there have now been edibles that look like gummy bears, Starburst, M&Ms,
Yep.
etc. And I had a situation once where there was a high school bus, someone had something,
Yep.
the kid thought it was gummy bears, but no, it was weed in gummy bear form.
Round of applause for this person right here. Basically, if you didn't hear, what was said was, just to raise awareness about the edibles, because there's a lot of different like candy going around that you don't even know are edibles. Gummy bears and different things that, I mean, there's cookies, there's popcorn, there's so much, just to raise awareness. Someone else have a question or comment? Yep. Hold on, guys, respect. You're almost done. Did I go to NA? I can't say that on camera. I can't say that on camera. We cannot identify at the level of radio, press, and film, but I am a member of a 12-step fellowship. I went to long-term treatment. I was in a residential program for 6 months. I prayed every morning, prayed every night, went through the 12 steps. I had therapy. I went to the gym 4 days a week. I did all the things. Those things changed my life. Great question. Anyone else? Questions, comments? You're stuck here for another 6 minutes anyway, I think. Anybody? Thank you guys so much. I appreciate you. You've been great.